The next stitch that I'm going to show you is called the prick or invisible stitch. It's most often usually referred to as the prick stitch. This stitch has a very similar motion to the back stitch. So if you're familiar with the back stitch and how you sew, go back on the stitch and sew forward and then go back on the stitch, then this will be pretty similar to that. The difference is that we change the length of the stitch, what we do on top, but maintain the stitch length that we were doing previously on the back stitch on the bottom. So I'll show you what that looks like. You will insert your needle, move no more than a 1/2 inch across, pull until it's flat and your knot is at the base of your fabric. And then you're going to move backward behind where your thread just came out. If we were doing the back stitch, we would move half the length of the stitch we did underneath. However, with the prick stitch, we're changing this to a much shorter stitch on top. So we're going to come back right behind where we just came out, underneath the original length, pull flat, and then again just behind where this thread came out. You can see that it will start to form little tiny dots as we move across, whereas the back stitch was much longer and they touched each other as we went along. So the same motion as the back stitch, we are moving backward on the top. However, that stitch length is much smaller. So again, right behind where this stitch just came out. And then we can turn it over and look on the back side and see that we've got the same motion as the back stitch. We've stitched and then it goes backward on itself and stitched again. So you can see that these stitches are very long on the back and very tiny on the front. If my thread were the same color as my fabric, this would blend in pretty nicely. You often find prick stitches to keep linings smooth and flat inside of garments. You often find them on the inside of suit linings and things like that. And again, obviously their thread color is going to match their fabric. For these purposes, I choose a contrasting color so that you can see what you're doing. Just like that. And then when you're ready to knot off, again, you're going to make a very tiny stitch right where you ended. Wait for your loop to form. Grab a hold of it before it pulls